The town of Alma, Arkansas, on June 9, 1995, was a picture of American normalcy. The air was thick with the promise of summer, the sweet scent of honeysuckle mingling with the aroma of hot dogs and popcorn from the local baseball diamond. Families gathered under the stadium lights, cheering on their children, their faces illuminated by the simple joy of community. It was the kind of evening that feels suspended in time, a memory of a simpler world. But in the span of a few fleeting moments, this idyllic scene would be forever stained by the ink of a tragedy, casting a shadow so long and so deep it would extend for decades. This is the story of a child who went out to catch fireflies and never came back. Morgan Chantel Nick, at just 6 years old, was the embodiment of that summer evening's innocence. She was at the Little League baseball game with her mother Colleen, a familiar routine for many in the town. Morgan was a whirlwind of youthful energy, her laughter echoing across the field as she played with her friends, running barefoot in the outfield grass. As the sun began to dip below the horizon and the sky painted itself in shades of orange and violet, the evening began to take on a magical quality. The simple pleasure of a Friday night game was all that anyone could think about. As the final innings drew to a close, a new kind of magic began to appear in the air. The first fireflies of the night began to flicker, tiny sparks of light against the deepening twilight. Morgan, with the wide-eyed wonder of a child, looked at her mother and made a simple request. "Can I go catch fireflies with my friends?" she asked. It was a request that in any other circumstance would have been completely unremarkable. But it was late, almost 10:30 p.m. A mother's natural instinct to protect clashed with the desire to let her child experience a moment of pure, unadulterated joy. Reluctantly, she gave her permission. It was a choice born of love, but one that would become the first moment in a lifetime of regret and unanswered questions. Morgan, a small figure filled with immense excitement, ran toward the parking lot to join her friends. Their plan was to empty the sand from their shoes before heading to the car. Eyewitness accounts from the other children would later paint the final heartbreaking picture of Morgan. She was seen standing by her mother's car, her back to her friends, methodically emptying her white tennis shoes. In that fleeting moment of solitude, she was a child completely unaware that she was being watched, that her world was about to be irrevocably altered. It was the last time anyone would see her as a free, safe child. In the moments that followed, a terrifying figure emerged from the shadows. Morgan's friends, in their innocent way, would later describe seeing a creepy man talking to Morgan near the car. They described a white male, approximately 6 feet tall, with dark hair, a mustache, and a 1-inch beard. He was seen standing next to a red pickup truck with a white camper shell, a vehicle that would become a haunting symbol of the case for decades to come. The truck was seen leaving the parking lot around 10:45 p.m., its departure a silent, sinister farewell. When the game ended, Colleen went to the car to get her daughter, expecting to find her there, firefly-filled bucket in hand. The friends told her Morgan was just a few feet away, but Morgan wasn't there. Colleen's heart began to pound with a cold, insistent rhythm. She called out her daughter's name, first with a hopeful lilt, then with growing desperation. She began to search frantically, her feet pounding across the same grassy field where Morgan had been playing just moments before. The joyful sounds of the game had vanished, replaced by the sickening silence of a mother's dawning horror. Morgan was gone, swallowed by the darkness of a summer night. The Alma Police Department was immediately on the scene, launching a massive investigation that would quickly consume the small town. A massive manhunt began, with hundreds of volunteers joining the search. The descriptions of the creepy man and the red truck became the central focus of the initial investigation. Composite sketches were drawn and distributed far and wide, broadcast on national television shows like Unsolved Mysteries and America's Most Wanted. Tips poured in from across the country, but each flicker of hope, led to a dead end. The sheer volume of information was overwhelming, and the leads one by one began to run cold. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. The initial national spotlight faded, but the pain for the Nick family only deepened. The case, despite the relentless efforts of law enforcement, became a cold case, a chilling entry in the annals of unsolved mysteries. The red pickup truck was never definitively located, the man was never identified, and Morgan's whereabouts remained a complete enigma. The family was forced to live in a state of agonizing limbo, their daughter's life a question mark hanging in the air for an entire generation. In the face of unimaginable grief, Colleen Nick found a renewed purpose. She refused to let her daughter's memory fade into obscurity. In 1996, she founded the Morgan Nick Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping other families with missing children. She became a tireless advocate, a fierce voice for those who had none. The Morgan Nick Amber Alert, established in Arkansas, became a lasting, powerful legacy. For over 2 decades, the case remained in a state of agonizing stasis. Then, in the fall of 2024, a stunning breakthrough was announced. Modern forensic science, far more advanced than in 1995, was applied to old evidence. A crucial piece of evidence: a single strand of hair recovered from the red pickup truck. The tension was palpable. Could this single strand of hair, a seemingly insignificant clue, finally provide the answers the family had so desperately sought? The world held its breath. The results were a devastating, bittersweet conclusion. The hair was a familial match to a member of the Nick family. It was almost certainly Morgan's. The owner of the truck and the man identified as the likely perpetrator was confirmed: Billy Jack Lincks. For the family, it was a moment of agonizing clarity. The man who had taken their daughter's life had been a person of interest for years. There was a cruel twist in the story, however. Lincks had died in prison in 2000 for an unrelated offense. The family finally had a name, a face, and a motive. But they had been robbed of the chance to face him, to demand justice for their little girl. The truth was finally within reach, but the perpetrator was beyond the law's grasp. The case of Morgan Nick is a story with a beginning and a middle, but no true end. The man responsible for her disappearance has been identified, but the most important question of all remains unanswered: where is Morgan? Her remains have never been found. The family, after a decades-long struggle for the truth, is left with a resolution that feels incomplete. They know what happened to their daughter, but they cannot bring her home. The story of Morgan Nick is a powerful reminder of the darkness that can exist in the most serene of places, a testament to a mother's unwavering love, and a haunting, ongoing mystery for a town that can never quite forget the night a little girl went out to catch fireflies and never returned.